A heavily disguised figure slips through the shadows of a quiet London street, carrying a secret that could permanently dismantle the royal hierarchy. Sarah Ferguson is officially done running, and her sudden, unannounced reappearance has sent absolute panic through the palace walls. She has abandoned the safety of her overseas hideouts with a ruthless, calculated mission, moving into a modest space to launch an all-out war. Behind closed doors, whispers are growing louder that she is pointing the finger directly at Prince William, leveling a chilling, unspoken accusation that he is actively poisoning the mind of the king. This isn't just a family dispute, it's a high-stakes palace purge, and a single explosive document leak is about to change everything. You will want to stay with us until the very end of this video, because the final unscripted confrontation at a recent family gathering reveals a twist that nobody saw coming, one that changes the fate of the York family forever. If you want to stay ahead of the palace's deepest secrets, hit that subscribe button and join our inner circle. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. For months, the global public was told that the former Duchess of York had vanished for good into the high-altitude luxury of Switzerland and Austria. But a sudden, highly classified movement through the heart of the UK capital has just blown that entire narrative wide open. Sarah Ferguson has officially broken her silence, and she is making it known that she is completely done hiding out. Reports suggest she has quietly abandoned her overseas retreats to execute a deep-cover relocation back to London. But it is her choice of accommodation that is currently sending shockwaves through the palace infrastructure. Insiders say the woman who once occupied the most sprawling estates in the country is now quietly touring tiny, one-bedroom flats across London. To the outside world, it looks like a total financial collapse, but the truth is far more calculated. Fergie would rather downsize to a single room than allow the establishment to erase her from the map. She is intentionally embedding herself right on the doorstep of the royal household, refusing to disappear into exile. Rumors indicate this sudden, bold shift in lifestyle is actually the first phase of a meticulously planned retaliation. She is reportedly fueled by a deep, protective fury over her daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, who have spent the last few months facing unprecedented setbacks. Sarah is convinced that her children are being unfairly forced to pay a devastating price for a public fallout they had absolutely nothing to do with. The former Duchess is transitioning onto a direct warpath, and her patience with the high-ranking members of the family is allegedly hanging by a thread. She is positioning herself to strike back at the very people who thought they had successfully pushed her out of the picture. And the first target on her radar is about to face the consequences of a hidden institutional ambush that is already underway. While the public was entirely focused on Sarah Ferguson's sudden return to London, an official financial bombshell dropped that changed everything for her family. Reports suggest that a highly sensitive document leak from the National Audit Office has completely exposed the living arrangements of Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. To the outside world, it was claimed that the sisters were living an unbothered, heavily subsidized life inside the historic walls of St. James's Palace and Kensington Palace. But according to sources, a quiet administrative push has created an entirely different reality. Insiders say a sweeping institutional audit has scrutinized non-working members of the family who reside on the Crown Estate. Rumors indicate that this official review has led to intense pressure regarding their long-held properties, essentially requesting them to transition out. To the public, the situation has been framed as a necessary financial cleanup. But to their fiercely protective mother, it feels like a deliberate, unfair targeting of her children. Sarah is allegedly convinced that her daughters are being painted as an unnecessary burden on the monarchy, forcing them to take the blame for a family fallout they had absolutely no part in. It is believed that this invisible eviction was the final straw that pushed the former Duchess over the edge. She refuses to stand by while her daughters are pushed to the margins of the institution. But as the panic inside the family intensifies, a stunning realization has surfaced. This wasn't just a random administrative oversight or a standard bureaucratic update. Insiders claim that a powerful shadow operator has been working tirelessly to ensure the York family is completely kept out of the picture. And the identity of the person allegedly pulling the strings will leave you absolutely speechless. The finger of blame is pointing directly at the future king himself. Sarah Ferguson is reportedly entirely convinced that Prince William is the shadow operator working to eliminate her daughters from public life. According to sources, she has openly accused the Prince of Wales of actively poisoning the mind of King Charles against Beatrice and Eugenie. To the outside world, the family presents a unified, peaceful front. But insiders say that Sarah is completely raging about the way this calculated effort has unfolded. She believes her daughters are being unfairly singled out to satisfy a growing obsession with a slimmed-down monarchy. The timing of this quiet campaign makes the situation even more intense. It is claimed that the push to block out the York sisters escalated dramatically following their parents' total fall from grace and the loss of their remaining official standing. Reports suggest Sarah views her children as highly convenient scapegoats for the institution's larger problems. She finds it infuriating because Beatrice and Eugenie have always bent over backward to serve the crown and support the family. Instead of being protected, they are allegedly being treated as an unwanted public liability. But the future king's alleged strategy may have a massive, unintended consequence. Sarah's patience is reportedly hanging by an absolute thread, and she is no longer willing to keep things civil. Rumors indicate that she is preparing to strike back with a devastating countermove that could completely destabilize the palace's public standing. She has realized that the only way to stop this quiet campaign against her children is to unveil a truth the establishment has been desperately trying to hide. And the specific method she is choosing for her retaliation is a total gamble that has the entire royal household on high alert. A devastating countermove is officially underway, and it involves a highly explosive literary project that has the entire palace infrastructure on absolute high alert. According to sources, Sarah Ferguson is quietly preparing to unleash a comprehensive tell-all memoir. To the outside world, she has dropped hints that she simply needs to secure significant funding very quickly. But insiders claim that this upcoming project isn't just about a massive payday. Rumors indicate that Sarah is openly bragging about the amount of closely guarded institutional information she has accumulated over the decades. It is believed she intends to use this highly anticipated release to entirely lay bare what she views as a desperate hunger for institutional dominance within the upper echelons of the family. Reports suggest her primary target is none other than the future king himself. The former Duchess is allegedly walking a razor-thin line with this project, attempting to balance her immediate financial needs while desperately trying to avoid a permanent, irreparable break with the reigning monarch. She knows that once these specific chapters are finalized, the family dynamics will be altered forever. The stakes could not possibly be higher for the York family. According to sources, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie are thoroughly aware of the impending project, and they are completely frantic about the potential fallout. It is claimed the sisters are barely interacting with their mother as a result, desperately begging her to abandon the project entirely and back away from the situation. They know that their long-term position and stability are directly subject to the future king's favor, and they cannot afford to face any further institutional backlash. But Sarah's intense desire to protect her children from being sidelined may override their frantic warnings. She is allegedly convinced that staying completely silent will only allow the quiet campaign against her family to succeed. The former Duchess is entirely prepared to push this high-stakes gamble to the absolute limit, regardless of the institutional panic it is causing behind the scenes. And as the family frantically tries to find a way to halt the publication, a sudden, mandatory public gathering has forced all the key players into the exact same room, setting the stage for a highly visible confrontation that absolutely no one was prepared for. The forced public smiles on display at a recent high-profile gathering completely masked the intense stress fracturing the family infrastructure. Reports suggest that the elegant June 2026 countryside wedding of Peter Phillips and Harriet Spurling served as the ultimate canvas for a high-stakes standoff. To the global public, the festive atmosphere at the historic Cotswolds Church was a picture-perfect display of unity. But according to sources, beneath the surface, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie were navigating an incredibly tense environment. This landmark event marked the very first time the sisters had to publicly face the entire royal fold following their father's devastating legal downfalls earlier this year. Every camera lens was tracking their movements, watching for the slightest hint of discomfort or rejection. The pressure inside the chapel was completely palpable. Insiders say that while the celebratory music played, a frantic family intervention was unfolding completely out of view. Rumors indicate that the York sisters used this brief proximity to issue a desperate final plea regarding their mother's escalating public campaign. It is claimed that Beatrice and Eugenie are entirely frantic that Sarah's bold, unyielding stance will permanently seal their exclusion from the family fold. They are fully aware that their institutional survival is resting entirely in the hands of the future king. They know that if their mother pushes her bold plan any further, any remaining chance of a reconciliation will be permanently erased. But despite her daughter's visible anxiety, Sarah Ferguson allegedly refuses to alter her course. The former Duchess is convinced that staying quiet is no longer a viable option for their protection. She is completely prepared to stand her ground even if it means clashing directly with the most senior members of the household. The fragile peace displayed at the wedding was nothing more than a temporary pause in a much larger confrontation. And as the guests departed the Cotswolds estate, it became absolutely clear that the battle lines have been permanently drawn. The era of running away is over, and the final chapter of this high-stakes gamble is officially shifting right back to the streets of the capital, where a shocking resolution is already waiting to unfold. The era of staying in the shadows has officially come to an end, and Sarah Ferguson's relocation to that tiny London flat proves she is ready to face whatever consequences follow. According to sources, she is entirely prepared to stand her ground, refusing to let her family be quietly erased from the royal landscape. This high-stakes gamble is a dangerous game of survival, and the tension building over her upcoming literary project means the palace infrastructure remains on absolute high alert. Only time will tell if this bold plan will successfully protect Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, or if her open defiance of the future king will result in a permanent final exclusion from the institution. The battle lines are permanently drawn, and the fallout from this institutional standoff is shifting faster than anyone could have predicted. If you want to make sure you never miss a single update on this unfolding situation, ensure you stick with us by clicking the subscribe button right now. Joining our community is the best way to stay completely ahead of every hidden update and upcoming palace revelation. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you right here for the very next story.